Who is the strongest summon in Oblivion Remaster Master Mode? In this video, I'm going to be casting all of the Master level summons as well as some of the good Expert level summons to see who is actually good. The spells are actually very straightforward. What I do is I make a custom spell for each of the summons that last for 60 seconds, and then I make myself invisible for 60 seconds so that the enemy AI never gets distracted by me, completely ignores me, and we get to just observe the effects of the summon, how good it is, what it can fight, how many things it can kill, how fast it dies, relative to different types of enemies in Master Mode. I did unequip all my armor, so I am 100% effectiveness, so let's dive into it. Alright, so here's our Xivilai. Let's see how he does versus an enemy Xivilai plus an enemy Conjurer. So it looks like he immediately got dropped, so we'll give him one more chance. I'm going to reset my magic. Probably have Welkin Stones. I do. We're going to drop another one out. See if he can do better than just getting two-tapped by an enemy Xivilai. We're at level 25. Alright, so 2 summons, and he was not able to put in any work and died immediately. The next summon we'll do is just a simple Storm Atronach. This is also a Master Mode summon. So let's drop him down here. Make myself invisible and watch the show. Oh, he's definitely living longer than the Xivilai. Alright, he got one tapped by the enemy Xivilai. Let's recast him again to see if he makes any more progress here. He's dealing a little bit of damage. Now, as soon as that enemy Xivilai hits him, it looks like he's gonna get dropped. This seems to be the big threat. He's living a lot longer because the enemy Xivilai is kind of chilling out, but he's putting in work, and he almost killed, looks like this, and didn't really kill that or anything. Now, the next one up is the Lich. The Lich is a ghost, so certain enemies might not be able to even harm him. I'm curious to see what it can do, if anything. He seems to be getting demolished, though. Alright, let's pop a Welkin Stone and recast it to see how he does. He's certainly doing something. Looks like he's just sitting there. He doesn't even really... Alright, he basically did nothing and died, so the Lich seems quite mid. Next up is the Gloom Wrath. Hopefully this one actually puts in some work. So far, they have not been having a good showing. I don't like that he doesn't have a weapon in hand. Alright, he died pretty quickly to the Xivilai, which seems to just be like one-tapping everything. We'll recast it to see if he has anything else to show for it. Cast an ice spell. And then died. Alright, so far none of them are really doing anything useful. Let's try the Dremora Lord. Maybe we'll have better luck with him. Everything else has been getting like one-shot by this Xivilai with a hammer. Okay, so far he's tanking Clan Fear. Doing a little bit of damage. Died pretty much instantly. Let's recast him. See how he does. So far, not bad. He's surviving. As soon as the Xivilai attacks, though, it's like usually over shortly after that. And then he accidentally attacked me through invisibility there. Next up is the Voracious Hunger. Hopefully one of these can actually do something against this enemy Xivilai. So far, they're all getting farmed by it. Okay, he did an attack. He got hit. Getting nuked. He's doing attacks, and he's dead. Let's recast. Trying to get a feel for its damage. Doesn't really seem to hit very hard. Alright, so it got bodied pretty quick. Next up is the Replete Shambles. I've heard these are bad, but I'll pretend to be open-minded. Let's see. He T-posed, immediately died. Seems pretty bad. Recast him. It's currently bugged. Alright, so it didn't even function, so that's definitely one of the worst ones so far. Next one up is a Draedroth. see how our Draedroth does. Seems like the Xivilai is like a hard counter to the Draedroth, or to all the summons. It basically just one-shots them. Alright, let's see it. It's attacking. He tanked a hit so far. He died to 2 hits. He did a little bit of damage to it. Now he seems distracted, so this might skew the results a bit. Alright, there's a power attack. Hit him again. Fireball. Almost killed. Then he attacked me even though I'm invisible, so he shouldn't actually know where I'm at. Okay, the final one to test versus this group is the Storm Atronach. Hopefully he makes us proud. This has a heal, but the enemy Xivilai is actually pretty cracked, so I don't really have high hopes here. Or anything, but hopefully he does something. He's hitting for damage. He put him pretty low. Let's summon a second. I like that he's casting ice spells a lot. That's actually pretty big value. He healed himself. Hit him with ice spells. What's the health? So he did just keep casting ice spells. Alright, so in terms of overall death matching and potential, if I were to rate these on this initial test, we're gonna do more tests. This was like an asymmetrical, like one-sided fight where it's fighting like essentially 4 things. It's fighting 2 things plus their 2 summons. We're looking at Xivilai seemed to be kind of slow, kind of did a little bit of damage and died. Storm Atronach did kind of okay and then died. Lich barely seemed to do anything and kind of sucked. Gloom barely did anything and kind of sucked. Dramora did some chip damage and died. Hunger seemingly did low damage and died. Replete is bugged and sucked and died. Draedroth actually did decent damage before it died, so at least it did something useful. It put out damage. It was just pretty consistently good. And it's also much cheaper than these master levels. And then the Frost Atronach did some chip damage at range. It put the Xivilai to like half and then also kept healing itself. So potentially the expert level Draedroth and Frost Atronach are better, but let's test this in 1v1s now. Because obviously, if the summon is fighting 4 things, it's going to rapidly die. So now we have to see how it does against individual Daedra. So here is an enemy Draedroth. So let's see how one of our Xivilais does against it. This is a 1v1. Now, Draedroth are not the biggest threat, but they are a decent threat. So if this can't win a 1v1 against a Draedroth, it's basically just a bad summon. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a weapon, though. All right, so he seemed to easily win this. And he's almost dead though, but at least he won the 1v1 against the Draedroth. Next up, we'll do Storm Atronach, see how he does it against the Draedroth. I would expect him to win this. Alright, so he bolts him, gets hit, smacks him, gets hit, smacks, gets hit, smacks. They're kind of dueling here. He killed it. His health? Similar health to the Xivilai, pretty much almost dead. Next, we will check the Lich. And also one thing to note about the Lich, it's incredibly expensive relative to everything else. Let's see what it can do. So it casts some kind of buff on itself, gets hit, floats at the dude menacingly, hits him with some kind of debuff, hits that with some kind of debuff, hits him with some kind of debuff, dies? Dies instantly. Alright, the Lich seems to be like borderline useless, honestly. Next, let's check the Gloom. I had high hopes for the Ghosts because I kind of hoped that they would actually be able to tank and do something useful. But so far, the Lich was borderline unusable. And let's see how this Gloom does. Hey, he's getting messed up here. He did barely win the fight. Next, we're going to test the Dramora Lord versus the Draedroth. Now, these do attack faster and rush things down, so potentially if you're fighting a distracted enemy, they could be good DPS. So far, he's doing okay. Pretty even. About to get his shit interrupted. It's It's safe to say he might have killed that if these didn't interrupt, so we'll call that a trade. Next, we'll check the hunger. I'm gonna kill this because it's gonna interrupt our shit. Okay, there we go. We don't want him interfering. So far, it's like a trade. Now the hunger is fast, so it will chase something down, potentially. Alright, it died. And then he hit me through invis, dude. They need to fix that. I'm going to skip the repletes because it seems to be bugged and doesn't function, so let's do Draedroth versus Draedroth. This should basically be like a mirror match. Making sure nothing else aggro's in. I was going for me. Yeah, it's like there's like a bug with invisibility where enemies will still like target you and switch to you. Same thing with Chameleon. So if they're like actively fighting a summon, they might just randomly like switch off. Alright, it looks like, yeah, like you just cast him even though I'm invisible. So it looks like my Draedroth barely lost, which is fine. It's a mirror match. Okay, and then finally, Draedroth versus Storm Atronach. Curious to see this one. I'm gonna go console kill this guy really quick. So he doesn't interfere. Because otherwise, there'll be two things attacking. Especially if that Flame Atronach hit this, it would do huge damage to it. So I wanted to see like how well... I want to make sure we're testing this. Oh, he has a fire attack. Oh, he hits me. Going for me. He's not supposed to be able to do that. I'm invisible. This game needs fixed, dude. That also interferes with things. So he won that, but I think just barely. I do like that he heals himself, though. How much does he heal? Really? He heals himself to full. Alright, I think it's safe to say that I know who some of the best summons are already, just from this. Another enemy to test against is, of course, the Storm Atronach, which is a pretty common endgame enemy that you will find. So let's actually get to it. So let's try a Xivilai versus that. And a 1v1. The fact that the Xivilai summon doesn't have a weapon does hurt it, because the ones with weapons do deal significantly higher damage. As you can see here, it's not even able to win a 1v1 with a Storm Atronach, which it should easily beat. Next up, it's going to be a mirror match between Storm versus Storm. So it could really go either way, depending on what happens. Alright, they cast lightning at each other. One nice thing about Storm, though, is that it uses lightning, so if you put ramp on something, it could be big value, assuming that the targets are far away. It looks like the enemy is out tanking mine. It's not even close. Yeah, he's getting wrecked. So Storm versus Storm, my Storm is getting completely wrecked. And this is a master summon, too. Not nearly as good. It also attacks very slow. Let's try the Lich again, this time against the Storm Atronach. But I'm going to cast it far away to see if that changes anything. See if that helps the Lich. It's not really clear what the Lich is even doing, aside from floating slowly and dying a lot. So I'd like to see some value from it. Alright, I cast a spell that did a little bit of damage. Doing some chip damage. Hitting it with fire. So far they're just trading chip damage, nothing too crazy. It might be the case that these spam fire, which means if you use fire ramp it could be good. It is kind of winning this fight though. Its health is higher. It's about to win. One more hit and it wins. Alright, and then what else does it do? I don't think it heals itself. Yeah, it won't heal itself. Let's try the Gloom versus the Storm Atronach. Hopefully it makes me proud. I don't like the fact that it doesn't have a sword or something. That's pretty big damage. That frost spell? We could just spam those, that's all I would want from it. Right now health is pretty even. You can also cast silence, I believe. It's currently winning the fight. That's pretty decent. It won the fight. It did okay. So, it's T-posing. Yes, my son. Next is Dremora Lord versus Storm Atronach. Let's see it. I expect this to rush him down. Cast a spell. Does decent damage right away. Right now, he's doing pretty good DPS. It's kind of even. He's on a slight advantage here. One more hit and it's done. Nice. So he won with like a decent percentage of health left, like 25% health left. So it's not bad. Respectable. Next up is Voracious Hunger. So far, it's just taking a lot of damage. Okay, it's actually dealing some damage too. The casting spells, hitting with its tongue. Kind of trading here. It barely lost. But this is, I think, a master level spell, so not too impressed with that. Next, we have our big boy Draedroth. Let's see it. Pretty even so far. Oh, man, that's unfortunate. Now, that is an expert level, so it's not terrible. But it did still lose and didn't kill. Finally, we have Frost Atronach. I'm skipping Replete because Replete seems bugged and doesn't even attack. Alright, here we go. What's better, Storm or Frost? So far, it's looking like Storm. Oh. Yeah, he got nuked. Next, we're gonna have all the summons fight a Xivilai. So to start, we'll have Xivilai versus Xivilai. If he knocks him in the lava, it doesn't count. Alright, he'd immediately just one-shot him. How much damage he put on? Oh, he actually almost killed it. So he almost won that. So Xivilai versus Xivilai without a summon, he almost won. For the next one, we have Storm Atronach. So I'm going to try to move him away from the lava to make sure he doesn't accidentally take lava damage, because that'll skew the results. Alright, he's casting a buff on himself. So far, it's putting in work. The damage reflect is kind of nice. He almost killed it. That's not bad, honestly. These are very tough to fight. For the next one, we have the Lich. The Lich is kind of weird. It seems to sometimes spam fireballs, and when it does that, it's doing well, but when it doesn't, it's kind of useless. To make sure he doesn't walk into the lava. There he goes. So he's hitting him with fireballs. Taking pretty big swings. DPS is relatively low. Ooh, he dodged there with a slow-ass movement. Look at him. It's very funny. He's trying to kite him, but he's very slow. This is a weird fight. I don't know why he's not closing distance, but I think they're like bugged. I think he thinks he can hit him, but he just barely can't. There he goes. Alright, so the Lich didn't really put in much work. That's not surprising. It's been kind of middling. Next up, we have the Gloom. Now, someone was saying that Gloom, because it's a ghost, can avoid getting hit by most physical, but unfortunately, some of the best enemies in the game tend to have enchanted weapons. Oh, is he wandering? No, don't wander in the lava. Don't wander into the lava. Alright, so he put him to half. That's okay. Nothing to write home about. Next we have the Dremora Lord. Make sure he doesn't fall in the lava over here. I'm just keeping him away. Come on, hit him, dude. What are you doing? There he goes. Kept missing attacks. Oof, these things hit so hard, man. Oh, he barely even put him to half before dying. That's a master level summon too. Next we have the Hunger. I certainly have high hopes for the Hunger. I really don't. Seems whatever. Make sure he's not in the lava to skew the results. Oh, this Hunger's getting worked, dude, and he's dead. Barely put a dent in him. Hunger is terrible for sure. Hunger, it seems like the Shivering Isles summons are just trash. Alright, and then we have Draedroth. Draedroth at least has good damage. You gotta give it to it. He's got good damage, if nothing else. Hey, look at that. He just starts working him immediately. He almost killed him. That's an expert level summon that's pretty cheap. That is a pretty good result. If I was also helping attack, we would easily kill that. I like how Draedroth rushes down though, it's nice. Okay, and then finally we have Storm Atronach. Start spamming ice. Punches. Wow, pretty big punch. Oh, but he got wasted so fast, dude. Yeah, he didn't really do that much, honestly. These things are huge damage. Pretty big threat. So what are the best summons in general? Well, it depends on the situation, but we can kind of write off some of these right out of the gate. It's obvious that Replete is just terrible. It doesn't really do anything. It's bugged right now. Even if it did do something, maybe it would be okay, but it's bugged and it just T-poses almost immediately. Hunger seems to have kind of okay damage. Not like good damage, but it just does like chip damage. Maybe it's good against weak enemies. Kind of costs a decent amount, so it's not really worth it. Lord seems to be pretty big value against enemies that don't hit really hard, so against non-Xivilai opponents, it's pretty decent. Gloom is kind of very similar to Lord. It has okay damage. It can sometimes cast this like ice nuke that does decent damage, but it usually just kind of runs in and claws at things. And it's just kind of like a Lord that costs more, so I don't really recommend it. Lich kind of seems useless, and it also costs the most. I don't know why it costs so much, it's just terrible. Storm Atronach is decent. Against itself, it seems quite bad. Xivilai is definitely really good overall. The results were kind of weird. Generally, Xivilai is decent because it has the highest damage, but Draedroth is really good for rushing things down. In a mirror match against another Xivilai, it kind of gets wrecked. So Draedroth might be a little bit better overall because it's cheaper and it's not master mode. Storm Atronach is pretty good. The fact that it spams ice spells could be really valuable for Ice Nuke. Similarly, if you wanted to run Storm Atronach, if you can get it to cast lightning spells at range and do some kind of lightning ramp, either of those Atronachs can be decent, with Storm being a little bit tankier, but Frost does heal itself after it's damaged. But overall, Xivilai has the highest damage and health pool. Its attacks aren't as fast, and it doesn't move as fast as the Draedroth, but against some of these higher level Daedra, it seems to generally have the best matchup overall. Against other Xivilai, though, it gets like killed in like 2 to 3 hits. So that's a huge unfortunate aspect to it. I feel like Draedroth, because it gives itself 20% shield and it cannot be silenced, like it can cast a fireball that actually does good damage through silence, and it can cast a shield 20% for 40 seconds or 45 seconds as soon as it starts combat. For now, I think it's safe to say that Draedroth is good, Storm Atronach is good, Storm Atronach is decent, Xivilai is good, and Lord is decent, and then the rest are kind of just not really there. If you find a use case for any of them, let me know. But Lich is definitely terrible, and Replete is definitely useless. But the expert level ones seem to kind of outshine the master level ones. But yeah, that's it for this one. Definitely drop a comment as to how you use your summons, and I will see you in the next one where I actually test buffing the best summons to see if we can push them into being cracked as hell, getting them to deal more damage, and winning us fights. Peace!